And then a question on sleep. I'll take a stab at this. Tips, resources, hacks for improving sleep. So I have written about sleep quite extensively in Tools of Titans. I'll mention just a few things. California poppy is very helpful for me, at least with sleep, and I do not want to take melatonin on a daily basis. I just do not feel good about taking things that consistently that affect hormones without cycling off. So I will use melatonin occasionally, although it often leaves me feeling groggy. There are people who will take, say, phosphatidylserine. If your head tends to spin or remain very active when you're trying to go to sleep, there are some people who will take phosphatidylserine, otherwise known as PS, which I did take, say, last night before bed to try to prevent or I should say lower the release of cortisol, which then can result in spikes in blood glucose. So those are a couple of supplemental interventions. Magnesium L-threonate is a version of magnesium that is preferentially absorbed in the brain. That can also be quite interesting. But the greatest determinant of sleep quality, or I should say determinants for me, are A, restricting caffeine intake in time to before midnight, because the quarter life of caffeine is about 12 hours, which means if you consume, say, 100 milligrams of caffeine or 200 milligrams, but let's go with 100 because it makes the math simple, a quarter of that will still be present 12 hours later. So if you have 100 milligrams of caffeine, that would be one Vivarin. At noon, you'll still have 25 milligrams of that caffeine in your system, roughly. Obviously, we're dealing with averages here. At midnight, okay, so minimizing caffeine intake in volume and then also in time, I think I know is a huge determinant of sleep quality, because I track my sleep quality with something like the Oura Ring. I do wear the Oura Ring, O-U-R-A, which I find to be extremely helpful to establish your baseline and then look at what interventions actually do to your sleep quality and types of sleep. That is phases of sleep. And second is exercise and sun exposure. So when in doubt, just get more exercise and sun exposure before lunch. And without fail, that will increase my sleep quality in terms of percentage of, say, restorative deep sleep, and also speed to sleep. That is the onset of sleep. And last is temperature. So one modification that I would make to what I wrote in Tools of Titans is I now use a cover on my bed from 8 Sleep, which I find to be tremendously helpful for both speed to sleep and quality of sleep. So temperature is really one of the primary levers that I like to pull. So I sleep as cold as I can without suffering. And that solves all sorts of relationship issues and potential strife around fighting over the thermostat also. So there are many, many benefits to using something like the 8 Sleep bed cover, which I do. So those are a few recommendations that you could consider playing with, but you need to be able to certainly evaluate whether or not your interventions are working. You could do that subjectively, how you feel, certainly, but some metrics will be helpful. And that is where something like the Oura Ring comes into play and can be combined with a device like 8 Sleep, which also offers some metrics and markers on a nightly basis.